So for the last week, we've been preparing the Modoc to leave Bremerton. The boat has been there for about 4 years, and it's a lot of work to get the boat ready to leave. And a lot of it is quite cumbersome, like diving on this hull. We had so much weed on the side of the hull. I had Tane jumped in the water. Kyle did a couple of dives, and then I ended up finishing it off. I forget how many dives, but maybe 20 dives all up to clean the hull. And all the stuff falls off the hull and goes down the bottom, and the bottom of the seabed is covered in crabs, eating all the stuff off the hull. So it becomes a little haven of crabs. And one of the things about a steel boat is if you need something on it, you just weld it on. And so Larry has been very busy with the welding rods. We had Lachlan, my little ninja. We had this awesome family, the Swansons, have been helping us out. They come to dinner every Friday night with us, and they've got these two kids, Lachlan and Crosby. One of the neat things about this journey is we do meet some awesome people along the way, and the Swansons right at the very top of them. They have been unbelievably helpful to us while we've been in Bremerton. So the boat, finally ready to leave, headed over to Ballard. So we came into these locks, but we had to end up waiting a couple of hours to finally get through there. Had a cheeky little tugboat past us at the last minute. So in getting the boat ready, we've basically been in refit for the last, quite a long time actually. And we're doing two things. One is we're getting the boat tarted up, for want of a better word. So we can have guests on board when we host Navy people, military people, people involved in fishing or fisheries enforcement. They can come on, the boat looks presentable. So part of it is like plastering and painting, redoing the walls. We've got this awesome big dining table, and that's in what's called the training room. But there's so much work in getting all that ready. And then the second part of it is getting the ship ready to be underway, and so that involved cleaning the hull, so a lot of diving on the boat, pulling off all the weed and barnacles and things like that, getting things so that they're fixed in place. So things like we've had Larry, he's been welding these lugs on so we can tie stuff against the hull, or things are strapped down, getting rid of all the rubbish off the boat. This boat, when we first come on here, it was a quagmire of rubbish. Cornelius, what's up?
Oh, very good. I just want to know if I can power down.
Sure. Oh, are we okay to power down? We're all battery here, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, all good.
All right, good.
Make sure you do whatever Larry wants in terms of switches and whether there's pumps or all of that.
Pretty much done what he needs me to do.
Okay.
So, sure, have a happy Larry when he gets back.
Okay, nice.
All right, good.
I prefer happy Larry just quietly. I don't like grumpy Larry. Grumpy Larry comes out to play. Oh, speaking of Larry, so the other day when we were dropping the anchor, unfortunately, there was a bird, a little pigeon, that got killed. We didn't know he was in there, and next thing there was a ball of feathers came out. It was quite sad, really. And then the following morning, we heard this little choop, choop, choop out the back of the ship as a baby pigeon. And there'd been these pigeons on the ship. They've been on here for the last couple of years. The boat's never moved. And I think what happened when we got underway, and we knew there was these two pigeons on there. We didn't know about the nest, but there was the two pigeons floating around. And so we think the mother got killed when we dropped the anchor. Baby pigeon on board. So Larry has taken it, for want of a better description, under his wing, and he chews this food, puts it in a syringe, and then he puts it in the bird's mouth. So the bird's name is Ankar. There was much debate about the name of the bird. Start off, it was Ankar, little Ankar. Bert was one of the suggestions. Trevor was another suggestion. It's called Ankar. Pigeon's a very hardy little bird, so it's actually got a good chance of survival. First time I think it ate one syringe full of food. Got up this morning, it ate 4. It was a reasonable size syringe too. How it fits 4 syringes now, I don't know. I've had the crew telling me we need to get a dog or a cat or something like that, but when you go through customs in different countries, quarantine, too messy. A bird, we just say, not our bird, just landed on here. So anyway, we've got our pet pigeon, Ankar. You'll probably be seeing a bit more of Ankar over coming months. We have a new media strategy. So we've got a cameraman on board, Dylan, and we've got Jess who's doing social media. So we're trying to produce some interesting, compelling content that tells you what we're up to, takes you on the journey with us, and imparts a little bit of conservation knowledge. We don't claim to be experts on it, but we do know a few things about it. And we kind of want to share what we're up to. Like, it is an extraordinary journey, this. We're getting to visit some awesome places. We've got an amazing team of people on this boat. Speaking of the team, it is probably the most eclectic group of individuals I have ever worked with. In the past, my teams tended to be mostly military, we're out of that sort of bent, or there was film crew. But certainly this crew at the moment, way more eclectic than I've ever had before. And that's kind of a strength and a weakness. When everyone's out of the same dye, generally your teams are not that robust, but you tend to all agree on stuff, and sometimes it's easier making stuff happen. But really diverse teams like we have here, there's so many different perspectives on offer, and hopefully you can choose the right path. And maybe a little bit of my job is to have all of these different inputs coming in and pick, you know, which journey do we take, and also have these people take ownership of areas. For example, the colour scheme we have in here, that is not going to be my responsibility. So I've Dan and Thomas, a couple on the boat, super pair of blokes. Dan is in charge of colours, and he's done a much better job than me, that is for sure. So he's in charge of colours, fabrics, all things like that. When you're on a ship like this, there's all sorts of cool stuff happening. Like you get to take the rib out, you get to fly drones, you get to do lots of cool stuff. But some of the jobs are not so glamorous, and one of them would be, we had a bit of water leak down in a bow section the other day, and poor old Sean ended up drawing the short straw. Down you go, Seanelius, buried down there for half a day, pumping out water. We are eating amazing on it. We've got Pamela who's joined us, and she's from Australia. In fact, she helped us out when I was with Sea Shepherd many years ago on a boat called the Addy Gill. We were based in Hobart in Australia, and she was one of the volunteers that came down and helped out. She is now the cook on board. I reckon we're all going to put on a bit of weight. Even me, like I'm a skinny bugger all my life. If it's ever possible for me to become overweight, it is going to happen in the next 6 months. Well, it depends how long Pamela stays. At the moment, she may be leaving in a couple of weeks. There will be a lot of heartache on the crew the day Pamela leaves the ship. She doesn't do breakfast though. She makes a bit of toast and that sort of thing. So lunch and dinner and cookies and cakes and all that is her kind of thing. Breakfast, I get up and make a smoothie. Not everyone likes my smoothies, to be fair. A few people turn their nose up. Vera, she hates smoothies, bloody smoothies, she says. And sometimes I make a bit of porridge too. That's not that popular. What's happened is, Pamela came on board, she's making amazing bread. That is way more popular in toast in the morning than my smoothies and porridge. So this morning I got up, I didn't need to make porridge because there was so much left from yesterday. All I did was heat it up. It's probably still back in the fridge now, waiting for me tomorrow. And Pamela, she went out and bought some things like parsley and, what do you call that? Coriander, what do you call it? So there's a thing called coriander that we have in New Zealand. Here they call it something else. If the name escapes me, she went and bought actual little plants, and she's got some argument going where that's more efficient than buying the stuff that's already dead and wilted. I'll defer to her greater wisdom on that one. The point I make though, we are dining like kings on this ship now, and pretty cost effectively too, because we're buying everything in bulk. That's one of the ways you can reduce your footprint, buy bulk food. Every time you go out and buy some little wee pack of peanuts, there's all that plastic packaging that goes with it. Buy yourself 50 kilos of peanuts, they'll last you for a couple of years. On the ship, at the moment the ship is still, we've got a lot of modifications to do with it, and the rib is still stuck right on top of the rib. Eventually we're taking all that structure down, finishing what's called the flight deck, where our big Sheeble drone is going to, or Sheeble UAV is going to be positioned. So the rib at the moment, we crane it on and off a very high position. Eventually that's going to be put down the bottom, as is the crane. The barge is being shortened, put down the bottom. We're removing all the tiles off the boat. And so at the moment we are in Port Douglas. We've got a few little repairs we're doing on the boat. We're tidying up a few electronics and a few loose ends. After this, we're heading down to San Diego to pick up our Sheeble S100 UAV. Then we're down to Ensenada to do the big heavy grunt work on this boat and get it ready for fishery patrols. Come with us.